One of the great things about my school dining team was their enthusiasm at catching kids who tried to defraud the system. The most common would be a student who would obtain a free lunch by using a dinner card that was not their own. Leslie, our dinner lady for over 23 years, was an expert. Little Stanley was the latest student to try and fool her, but got caught in the act. Stanley was in year 7 and had left his dinner money on the kitchen table. His friend offered to help him out by giving him his free dinner card to use, but the thing was, it was a photo ID dinner card. Stanley was white and strawberry blonde. His mate Ola was dark and African. I was purposefully gentle because Stanley was new to the school. I got him a sandwich and a drink and sat him down in my office. Do you realise it was wrong to try and use Ola's dinner card? Yes, miss, Stanley replied. How do you think you could have dealt with it differently? I asked. Don't know, miss, he answered. Well, you could have told your tutor or the dinner lady that you'd forgotten your dinner money and she'd have got you a lunch. Yes, miss, he responded. I launched into my fraud speech, but decided to go gentle on Stanley because he was a newbie and had made a silly mistake. Using Ola's card and trying to obtain a free lunch, which you're not entitled to, can be viewed as fraud, Stanley. So it's important not to do that again in future. Always speak to a teacher. Yes, miss, Stanley replied. I'm not going to punish you on this occasion, but I'm going to put it down to you making a poor decision, which you know was wrong. I'm also going to speak to Ola about this because he should not, under any circumstances, have given you his card, I added. You can tell my dad, Stanley inquired tentatively. No, I replied. I think you understand where you went wrong, so let's move on from this. Off you go. Relieved to escape to sanction for his actions, Stanley skipped off down the corridor. I put Ola's card in my in tray and scribbled a post-it reminder to pick him up. My office phone was ringing as I entered my office the next day. An irate man was on the other end asking for me. Speaking, I replied. It was Stanley's dad, and he wanted to know what had happened yesterday lunchtime. One of the students had told him Stanley had got in trouble at school, and when he questioned Stanley, he said I'd called him a fraudster. I apologised to Dad for not calling him about the incident, but said I felt the matter had been dealt with. I then explained the chain of events. Stanley's dad explained that his issue was with me calling his son a fraudster, and he was not happy with the label I'd given him. I tried my best to be diplomatic and explained by using someone else's dinner card, which Stanley was not entitled to, was a form of unintentional fraud. I was still trying to be diplomatic. Dad was having none of it. He began saying his son was from a good home. He was not pleased that he'd come to school to have his good name and character trashed by a senior teacher who should know better. It was outrageous. He was going to make it his business that I get into trouble for this, and he'd be looking into taking the matter further. I began to get annoyed. Now let me get something straight here, Mr. Bennett. I decided to take back control of the situation. I stand corrected. Your son did not try to commit unintentional fraud yesterday. He tried to commit fraud. Let's make no bones about this. He deliberately tried to deceive the dinner lady by using someone else's dinner card with the view of obtaining a government-funded meal, which he was not entitled to. That is fraud. Now, I could have made a recommendation that be excluded for the incident, but he's in year 7 and made a mistake, which he admitted and had promised not to do again. You are very welcome to take this further, Mr. Bennett. Yes, and I may get into trouble for this, I added. Get into trouble for not dealing with your son more harshly. There was silence at the end of the phone. Are you still there, Mr. Bennett? I queried sharply. Yes, but I'm running late for an appointment, so I need to go. And with that, the call was terminated. What a cheek! This is what happens when you're not consistent with sanctions and bend the rules for some. Serve me right. Long run, short catch. It may take a while for you to get caught for your wrongdoing, but you will get caught one day.